It's hard. I don't understand why you're talking like this.
What we're going to encounter today. We've got a little bit of an unusual morning because some of our guests are coming in by Zoom. They were just both so worth it that I try to only have one. Pass up either availability of either one. So, Sean, who's our technical director, should be able to get them up on the screen so it'll make their
It should be.
in the room with us. Welcome. Found the restaurant. Outside. Very casual environment. Will be to get the show ready for 10 minutes and then move around in between. So there'll be time to ask the handsome chef any culinary questions.
What was that cynical laugh for when she said handsome chefs?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was you.
That was her.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna hurt her.
And for those who listen to the show, you know we end with taste trivia, and I need volunteers. I got a hand up. It's done. Yeah.
Wow, that didn't take very long.
Warning, it is so all things Irish, written by our favorite.
Great.
Hello,
Nice green sweater on. Julie is our service diva today. Sean, you met. Annie is feisty in the morning, so I wouldn't mess with her. So
She's our chef in the kitchen.
But
Bridget Charters is the chef for this morning.
Yeah.
If you don't like your breakfast, throw it at Bridget.
Yeah, look, Annie's trying to escape. So no eggs get hauled at her. All right, gentlemen. Spin your magic.
Good morning, YouTubers. So we're live on YouTube every time we do the show right here on this camera.
You're
So-
having a tryst this morning. You might want to avoid the camera.
A tryst.
Tryst.
That's a nice
It's
twist.
a clandestine date.
Yeah.
Yeah, a tryst.
A date that nobody knows about, allegedly.
Well, they do now. If we can take a minute and stand and bow to my mother's stove.
Yes.
Here
Right
we
there?
go.
1952. No.
1952. My mother died in August, and she left me this stove at my request. And she wasn't at all amused that I've been badgering her to die for 50 years so that I could receive it. That's her and me on the top in the picture. And then on the left is the original receipt that she and my dad paid for the stove in 1952.
Where did you find that? That's magic.
$250, and they had it on a 10-year payment plan. Their 6-bedroom, 3-bathroom house in Delaware only cost $12,000 in 1964.
Wow. And it's not only it. $12,000 was a lot of money back then.
Yeah. That was on a 30-year plan. Okay. I'm Tom. This is Terry.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming this morning. Apparently, you guys don't have a job. So that's cool. We have a list in the back for you. Anybody wants to subscribe?
I'm actually the French one. He's a bastard child from Nebraska.
I'm from Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Sheboygan.
Sheboygan, yeah.
Wow, we got a lot of drunks in the room this morning. I like it, Julie. Way to go.
They're not drunk. They're getting into shape for the show.
Cut this one off. She laughed
Super
when Pam
fast.
called me handsome.
Oh, we're going to put you on the trivia.
Okay, ready, set, chef?
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Hot Stove Society Show on Cairo Radio.
Yes.
We're here on YouTube Live. We're here at the beautiful Hotel Under in downtown Seattle, 4th and Virginia. Come see us sometime. We have a house full of feisty folks having breakfast with us this morning. They all bought their tickets on hotstovesociety.com. I think it's $25. It comes with breakfast and kind of lukewarm
Heck of a
coffee
deal.
sometimes.
And great company.
and great company.
It's the company.
And you get to see my mother's stove, which joined
That's
us about what, 2 months ago, from a long trip across country. I had it packed into one of those pods. So yeah, all the West Coast kids.
It's a beauty. I mean, it's worth
beauty.
coming.
Yes, it's
on.
worth a trip just to idle.
That's right.
Just it's my new. What do you call that when you have a religious?
It's your
It's
muse.
my muse. It's my icon. Something
Your
like
spiritual center.
that. It's my spiritual spirit animal. There you go. We have cooked many spirit animals in that stove. We record our show on Thursday mornings from 9 to 11 at the Hot Stove. So come on and join us sometime. We invite you to buy a ticket, as I said earlier, at the Hot Stove. And also, if you want, you can watch us live on YouTube, our
That's right.
YouTube channel, Tom Douglas and Co. And you can pick up our YouTube
Oh,
channel.
you can even download this
subscribe.
show during the
Doesn't
week.
Yeah, you can subscribe it, but if you subscribe it, it makes it easier for us to keep it on the air for free.
That's right.
It doesn't cost you a nickel. It's just they like to see that number of subscribers out there.
And based on the responses we had to the contest that you ordered last week, there's an enthusiastic subscription audience.
Oh, really? Who won our?
And they have until tomorrow to enter,
okay,
so
good.
we're still taking entries.
Should we tell them what the contest was about?
No, these guys will cheat.
Oh, they will cheat. Okay.
That is the velvet voice of Pamela Hinckley, our producer. Sean is here today, our technical producer. Of course, the chef in the chapeau. You've already heard him.
That's right.
Chef, we got a big show today. St. Patrick's Day is coming down the pike. We need to do a little research on what people in Ireland are eating. Do you suppose they celebrate it there?
I think they're probably looking at
they might.
Americans going, oh, it's good than somebody's advertising our country.
Somebody's buying Irish whiskey is what it's good about. Top Chef season number 10 winner Kristen Kish zooms in to tell us about her new National Geographic series. Now, what is it, Miss Hinckley, that she wouldn't fly here to Seattle to be on our show? Does she not know the power of our airwaves?
I can't believe that she's so busy with National Geographic and being an
Right.
international star that she wouldn't come.
She's checking out restaurants at the end of the world. The most modern, mouth-watering food image on Instagram last week. What is that all about?
You're going to see it. We're going to put it up on the screen.
Well, what about our home listeners?
We'll talk
They're
about
going to
it
have to go get it.
with colorful language.
At least we're not talking about TikTok again. Last week's show was all about TikTok. Pamela thinks she's 12 years old.
I'm regressing.
Susan Gravely is the founder of Vietri Tableware. That's just that kind of that fancy Italian pottery. She also has stuff, I guess, that's a little bit more, not quite so flowery. Wine enthusiast Cyril Frechier is, did I say that right?
Frechier?
Yeah, what I said. Offer some tasty recommendations for your beverage needs. And of course, we're going to finish the show with our Food for Thought Tasty Trivia Challenge. And we already have a volunteer from the audience. You're not allowed to wear those glasses because they're distracting. We won't be able to think about our answers.
She's got two sets of eyes.
Today's questions are by our longtime friend Becky Guzak. What did you do with, you usually spend a couple hours a week on these questions. What did you do with your extra time?
This week? Starting the garden.
She made an Irish
that's
stew.
right.
It's got the sorrel in the ground, got the arugula in the ground.
Wow.
You did? Oh my
This
God.
It's going to snow this weekend.
This retirement is suiting you. Chef, what is your taste of the week?
I don't know. What's my taste of the week, Tom?
Oh, that's great.
What is
Okay,
your
I'll
taste of the
start
week?
then if you don't know.
No, your taste of the week.
My taste of the week is I went to a little restaurant in Ballard. I drive through Ballard just to kind of get angry sometimes because the restaurants are so busy there in Ballard. It's just crazed. So last night I had my dream Ballard trip, which was every restaurant I drove by was empty.
Really?
Yeah. It was 6:15, 6:30, and they were all empty, and I felt at home there. Because sometimes in downtown Seattle on a weeknight, it feels that way. But then I go by a little restaurant called Asadero. It's a Mexican steakhouse, I would call it. And maybe Argentinian, or I'm not exactly, I think it's Mexican. Anyway, packed to the gills. Outdoor, indoor bar, everything. There's one seat left at the bar. I snuck in, and there's a reason why it's full. It is delicious, and it's approachable. I wouldn't call it super cheap. The average steak is probably $40 or $50, but the portions are huge. The flavors are tremendous. I had a little parrilla, a grilled steak can't remember the second part of the name of the dish, but it's $46. I asked them what cut of meat that they were using. Tenderloin, like off the cuff, just tenderloin. Usually,
Really?
you think it's going to be skirt steak
Yeah,
or hanger
yeah.
steak or no tenderloin. It comes. It said 8 ounces of tenderloin on the menu. It was 16 ounces of tenderloin.
my.
Oh, wow.
And it comes with a chili relleno, some refried beans, delicious little kind of chimichurri type sauce, and then 4 other sauces on the side: pickled onions and pico de gallo and
my.
salsa, red salsa, green salsa, fresh tortillas.
Corn tortilla?
It was delicious.
Oh, that sounds really
Super
good.
fun sitting at the bar. The bartender was great.
You
Made a
didn't eat all
terrific
that steak.
martini. I don't drink anymore.
Uh,
I love the silence in the room and Pam going,
Well, I'll say I'm down to 2 drinks a day. I'll say
okay.
that.
That's what you call don't drink anymore.
So I have to nurse my first drink, like my martini or my scotch. I have to nurse it for hours just to try and make it through the night. And so
I understand the pain.
I just keep adding water to the dregs of my gin and just have flavored water now. So yeah.
I went
Anyways,
to,
stopping drinking has been traumatic in my life.
that's
The interesting thing about it is that I went to get my physical,
Uh-huh.
and it says there, how many drinks a week do you have? And the last time I had my physical, I said 14, which was a total lie. But now I'm actually telling the truth.
and they don't believe, and they
And
go,
now they don't believe it.
they
The
don't
doctor doesn't
believe you, and they
it.
go,
Yeah,
you're still drinking
exactly.
too much.
So, whatever. Your turn.
Went to revisit Off Alley a couple nights ago and had a tremendous experience again. And I just want to remind people and folks that it's a very small restaurant in Columbia City, but they practice some very good culinary technique. And first thing that comes to mind is the first thing I got, which was almost like a chicken liver mousse of gizzard and heart of squab, which
Mhm.
are actually local fresh squab from
From Chinatown.
from the peninsula. And there's a person that's actually raising squab in the peninsula, and that was very delicious. It was done super well, and I know it sounds kind of esoteric and gross to some, but it was actually very beautiful.
What
Like
would
the best
sound
chicken
gross
liver
about
mousse
a
I've ever-
puree of heart and liver? I can't imagine. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Exactly. That was a good glass of Côte du Rhône, and it goes down like nobody's business.
Was there, when you say, was it a mousse? Was it flavored with something? Did it have a particular herb or spice? Or
No, it had all kind of seasoning, and I can't tell you all the seasoning that was in there, but definitely well seasoned, beautifully rounded, smooth, like a beautiful chicken liver mousse.
you know what I love about that? When the people do that, is that they're using the whole critter.
Right.
When they're
Oh, I mean, when
Cooking.
you get a fresh squab from the peninsula that's farm raised right here in our backyard,
Yeah.
which is a rarity because there's not many squab farm. It's something to you use everything from beginning to end.
So for those of you who don't know, squab is another name, a more acceptable
It's
name
a
for
it's a
pigeon.
farm raised pigeon.
Farm raised pigeon. Yeah.
It never seen Pioneer Square. Doesn't know where it is.
So coming up, what do people in Ireland really eat on St. Patrick's Day? Is it really corned beef and cabbage? We're going to find out when we come back on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Wow, that was exciting, huh?
What a great way to start the day.
on the edge of my seat.
Are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
The dish pit is back there if you want to get started. I guess not.
No, she's going to enjoy a mimosa instead.
I love when she sits down. She's got a glass of champagne, coffee, everything.
Yeah,
Wow.
firing and
This is
all
really
feeling-
cool. People are drinking and celebrating, and
It's like a weekend brunch.
yeah. Maybe that could be an idea.
What?
Serve them brunch. Offer brunch as an option. Ahead. We should do that. We should create a little menu. Have them order their breakfast, up your breakfast if you want ahead of time.
Ah,
Make some money. You get the people here.
Well, they're here because they get breakfast with their $25.
I know, but for example, the steak and egg.
Oh, yeah.
Using that as an example.
Yeah.
At your breakfast.
Not going to happen, Chef.
Oh, I'm just saying.
Let's party.
We should sell them a breakfast.
We
set.
are back in the Hot Stove Kitchen on Cairo. You can hear our audience is very excited to be here because they're wondering, they're at the edge of their seat like Pamela about what do Irish people in Ireland actually eat for St. Patrick's Day. So for me, St. Patrick's Day has always been, my mother made the kind of the New England, what we call the New England boiled dinner, which is boiled corned beef and cabbage and boiled potatoes and carrots. And then she would put mint. Oh, no, that was Easter. Thinking mint jelly, but maybe she didn't do anything for a sauce.
Maybe some horseradish.
What did they do in France when it was St. Patty's Day?
Nothing. We actually don't know about St. Patrick's Day in France. We just go to Ireland and go, oh,
What saint do you cherish in France?
all of them.
All of them, of course, not St. Patrick, though.
It's St. Patrick. It's probably St. Patrick in France as well. But
Okay, so Pamela,
lost
can
that
you
one.
tell us, it is not apparently corned beef and cabbage that they celebrate with in Ireland.
So much about the way the holiday is celebrated now was invented outside of Ireland because it's a religious holiday. So mostly people were having a substantial breakfast and going to church. So the first St. Patrick's Day parade I can't tell you because it's part of trivia.
I know.
But so I
guess-
was curious to do the research on if they were having a feast, and went to the Ballymaloe Cookery School in Cork because it's run by Darina Allen, who's the most respected cook in Ireland and has this beautiful cooking school. And she had a wonderful article about St. Patrick's Day quintessential dish is actually Irish bacon.
Do they drink?
Lightly.
Right.
I think it's outside of it's
They
a
don't
mandatory-
have Irish coffees?
They like to they use their stout to make their stews.
Yeah, that would make sense. And on the table
Beautiful.
as well, probably.
Yep, and a little glass on the table. So they have a completely different style of bacon. It's leaner and closer to the Canadian bacon.
Well, what it is, I've had it in Ireland.
okay,
And
tell
so
me-
what it is, and you love this roast, right? You've bought a big pork loin roast, right?
Yeah.
With the baby back ribs on the back, right? All they do is they take that whole roast with the lip on it, so the fat cap on it. They take the baby back bones off and they cure that. And that is Irish bacon
Right.
and English bacon. They call it back bacon.
back bacon.
Canadian.
Yeah.
No, we are.
And,
It's
so
Canadian.
that's what it is, and it's cured a little bit. It's not smoked like our bacon is smoked, the applewood smoke or something like that, but it's cured like that, and then it's sliced super thin and just given a quick pan fry, and that's your Irish bacon.
Makes great lardon.
Great, what?
Lardon, those cube,
Oh, yes.
cube bacon. It makes good lardon.
But I was pleased to see that the cabbage and potato.
So how are
tradition-
what did they say? What is it, Ballymaloe? How do they cook the cabbage? Is it just braised?
braised?
Because I've been into roasting cabbage lately.
I know, but it's boiled in salty water. But the Colcannon, the popular mixture of the cabbage with the potatoes,
Right.
I was thinking about you, Terry, because they use so much butter and hot milk.
They
How
got
could that not
they
taste
got the
good?
right idea.
They also have the butter. Have you had that Kerrygold butter?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
so
it's
tasty.
so
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah.
Always
Very,
on
very
my
high.
counter now. It's
No, I
so
mean,
good.
you can't go wrong if you put a lot of butter, some cabbage, and some potatoes together. I mean, you're gonna have a great dish on your hand.
But the nice addition was for this dish, the bacon and cabbage, was the parsley sauce.
Mhm.
Something to give it some real brightness.
Which is probably the only herb that's available right here, right now. Actually, my chives are coming up too, so they're going to be available very soon here.
And so the parsley sauce is just blended in a mortar and pestle and beaten.
Yeah.
Obviously not with olive oil in Ireland, but just a little bit of
Salad
whatever.
oil.
butter. Yeah, maybe butter.
Parsley and butter.
I want to go back to the beverages a little bit because
Yes.
I think I perceive Catholicism as being kind of Irish in nature, at least where I grew up. I went to Catholic school 1 through 12. Yes, I'm a saint. Thank you very much. But I'll never
you're still
forget.
wearing it.
You talked about the religious celebration and the little non-parade, but I will tell you that when I was 16 years old, I got a job at a liquor store in Elkton, Maryland, and to their great surprise, when the bus came in from Holy Angels and St. Mark's with the nuns and the preachers on it to get their weekly
Whiskey.
whiskey and beer, I was the one taking the boxes out, and the nuns were looking at me like, "Oh my God!"
They found out.
I found out, yeah, because Mrs. Murray, who owned the store, would give them a special break. She was a good Irish Catholic, and so they all went down and bought their booze. And so, I'm just saying, it is part of the celebration.
But there's
Turns
a lot
out
of
they
things-
celebrate St. Patrick every week.
A very important saint. But before we leave the topic, for those that are craving corned beef, a reminder that if you want it on St. Patrick's Day, you got to start it this weekend, right?
If you're going to make it,
If you're going to make it.
Yeah, if
you
you're
probably
gonna
had
make
to
it.
start it a couple of days ago.
Yeah,
but
you're already behind the 8 ball.
6 to 10 days. Is
Oh,
a
okay. I read
typical cure.
5.
Yeah, you can do it in 5. So yeah, you probably have to do it. My suggestion is don't bother. There's
Yeah.
some really
No, exactly. I'm the same way with that. I've done it, and you can go buy it at right down the street here.
Don and Joe's.
Yeah, Don and Joe's, and you order it at Don and Joe's, and it will be excellent.
Yeah,
And you will save yourself 10 days of
Nursing it.
nursing it.
there's
and-
really not a lot to do to make it because it sits. The bigger issue is that you have to have room. You know, a typical brisket is 8 to 10 pounds, we'll say, and you
it's
have to
long
have
and
a
it's-
5-gallon bucket for the brine.
Brine. Mhm.
And you know, you just throw pickling spice in. It's not a hard process, but where are you going to keep that 5-gallon bucket? You know,
Well, right now outside would be perfect because it's cold. enough.
close, yeah. I would say it's not according to the health department. It wouldn't be, but
Well,
It
it's
was
32,
50 degrees.
34. It's
Yeah.
34. I mean,
it was 50 degrees a couple days ago. So
yeah, that
I'm
would
just
be
saying,
too
you
much.
just have to be careful. But yeah, that's the issue. Is do you have
Right.
a place to put a refrigerated 5-gallon bucket?
Most people don't.
You know, I'm desperate for the days of Market House corned beef up there at 8th and Olive.
Yeah.
And I have not seen their product. I had heard through the grapevine that they were coming back, but
Oh.
I have not seen the product. So this time I had the down on Rainier Avenue. There's the
Mondo?
meets the Bancaro
Yeah.
brothers,
Yeah.
who I used to buy from in 1978, 79.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm
Me
that
too.
old. Yeah.
Not 79.
But I
used
saw
to buy
their
from
product.
them.
I bought it here for my evening TV shoot. I brought it here to talk about corned beef last week when we were doing this shots for it. Anyway, there is a local version out there, Bancaro Brothers Meats.
Rainier Valley. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And, you know, they use a lot of pink salt, a lot of preservatives, and that's just the way it is. If you want a gray corned beef, which is
No one does.
everyone, a lot of people
PCC
do.
probably.
You do too, because your
PCC probably does.
PCC has a gray
Yeah.
corn, you know, like what they call gray,
Yeah.
because the pink salt is what keeps it red
Right.
when you cook it, and the gray is just uncured. So where they're using
But gray is a local,
celery
is a
powder.
local color anyway, so that's good.
I want the pink.
Really, I'm so surprised at
Pink
that.
is a you do?
Pamela has a little bit of quirk in her vegetarianism.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
She does.
Called a
All right.
ribeye.
ribeye, exactly. We're excited to welcome for 2 segments the very busy and very talented Kristen Kish to hear about her new National Geographic special. It's taking on the restaurants at the end of the world. I happened to watch a couple of Anthony Bourdain shows
Mm.
the other night, and I was just reminded how talented
Yeah.
of a writer that guy is. I think he wrote all those segments where he kind of overdubbed the sound.
Yep.
I think he did all that writing. God, what a talent.
He was so
There are
curious.
so many people trying to fill his slot on the airwaves. And
I hadn't thought of that.
yeah, so it's interesting to see all the different people trying. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show 97.3 FM.
Eva Longoria. Eva, what's her name? Eva Longoria, the actress. She's doing Tucci did all about Italy. Now he wanted to do another country. He wanted to do more, and so yeah, he's gonna do partner with Eva Longoria to do all about Mexico. So that should be
Well,
an interesting show.
CNN dropped it.
Huh? Oh, he did? Oh, I did not know that. But that show will be on CNN because Colbert announced it at CNN yesterday. All right, our audience is live, man. That's cool. Okay, you're bringing it around. Here she is. Only see you. Good morning, Kristen. Oh.
I think we're ready to go. Good morning, Kristen.
Good morning, Kristen.
Good morning.
I'm Thierry Roturo, the chef in the hat. And this is Tom.
Fantastic.
I'm Douglas.
Hi.
Oh, she can see me good.
He
Now
has
I
to
see you.
sneak into the frame.
Using that one right there. Terry.
Oh. That's fine. That's cool. That's cool. That's fine. That's fine. It's all good.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Where are you?
I am at home in Connecticut currently.
Ah, I'm from Connecticut. What part
Oh,
are you
fantastic. We're in the Fairfield area.
in? Oh, fancy. I'm from the
Yeah.
ugly Willimantic area up by Yukon.
What do you mean ugly?
Okay. I mean, Connecticut's just beautiful, seemingly everywhere.
Yeah,
as
it
I'm
is.
learning. I'm new to the area, so it's been really nice to get out of the city, to be honest.
Yeah.
We also know that Willimantic is a romantic city.
Romantic Willimantic.
Exactly.
It's got great old colonial houses and town greens and those beautiful stone walls. So
Mhm.
when you have a chance to get to that part of the state, I encourage it. Well, thank you.
Definitely.
I'm sure glad you told no one on the radio this information.
It's top secret.
Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. We're joined on Zoom by Kristen Kish and Pam. What spoke to you about Kristen's adventures?
Intense jealousy.
Intense jealousy together.
Because, I mean, she's had such a skyrocket of a career.
Uh-huh.
And between Top Chef and a restaurant, and are you still doing Fast Foodies?
It's still airing. Yeah,
It is-
season 1 and 2 are currently still on HBO Max.
That is hilarious, and we get to see your good personality through that show. And then I don't know, I'm excited to hear how National Geographic found her for this series, and we want to hear all about it.
Well, let's start there. Kristen, tell us your story, being born in South Korea, and how you've made your adventures where you are today, which is near Fairfield, Connecticut.
It's so I was born in Seoul, raised in Michigan, went to school in Chicago, moved to Boston, worked around most of my culinary adulthood career there. And then from there, opened up my restaurant in Austin, Texas, wrote a cookbook, did all the things, television shows, and eventually finding my way, or Nat Geo finding their way to me. And then this new show called Restaurants at the End of the World basically takes me to the quote, ends of earth, or places off the beaten path, to explore the people, the food, and basically how they do what they do.
Right. So let's go all the way back to South Korea. What brought you, or what have you brought from your roots to your cooking style?
It's a complicated conversation and relationship I definitely have with my Korean roots, because I was born in Seoul and I was adopted at 4 months old. So I was raised in Michigan, not by Korean people.
Wow.
And so for me, it was definitely it's been a journey understanding who I am and where I come from, and allowing myself the permission to also own that part of me, where for a long time I felt quite guilty saying this is also me. Clearly, I look Asian, and for those who can figure it out, Korean by all standards. But for me, owning that myself has been a little bit more of a journey. But I am definitely settling into it more. I'm adventurous in my playing with food, with Korean flavors. But it's not infiltrated its way completely into my professional culinary story.
So what would you say your journey is professionally, culinarily, based on Michigan roots?
It's a lot of comfort food. It's a lot of Midwestern comfort, but done in a way, obviously, where I can, sell it to a restaurant guest for, $30, $40 a plate. But, it kind of all comes from this idea of what I like to eat, and understanding that comfort food is relatively universal. So everyone has, or every culture theoretically has, their own version of like a chicken soup, right? That brings comfort or reminds them of something, or a great noodle or pasta dish, meat and potatoes kind of thing. So that's what I really lean into, is comfort.
Yeah, I must agree with you. I think it's universal than soups and stews, and that's totally around the world. Everybody's got one, and a lot of similarity. It starts with the chicken, and then you go from there.
What I realized when I was opening my restaurant is this idea of being able to, we've always said food connects all of us, right? And it does. It brings conversation. Everyone has to eat. But to then take it into another layer of saying, well, if there's a couple flavors I can like pinpoint, and someone that I know nothing about can find some form of relatability in that single bite, then already it generates a conversation, whether we've said one word or 10 words to each other. And I think that's really, I like to be comforted in food in that way, like try something new, but also find something familiar and relatable in it as well.
There's other things that transcend cultures. We always say meat on a stick. Every culture has meat on a stick. Every culture has some sort of dumpling or a noodle. And it's just kind of how we wrap it up on a plate is what makes it different.
Exactly. That's the person and the story and intent behind it that makes it something uniquely special, I think.
So tell us about Austin. You've landed there with a hotel group.
So I did. So that was kind of all an accident. It was a happy accident, one that I was not aiming to have. And I'm realizing a lot of things that happen in my life aren't because I wanted them. It's simply because this opportunity was I was faced with an opportunity, and eventually I said yes to something. And so the restaurant in Austin, I had never been to Texas. I'd never been to Austin. Opening a restaurant wasn't something I was looking to do at that time. But I got a DM, like most great relationships start is a random DM to somebody. And it said, hey, I'm the food and beverage director or corporate director for Citadel Group, which the hotel group has now changed ownerships, but it's still under the Line Hotel. And they're like, well, are you interested in opening up a restaurant? We have the main space inside the Line Hotel in Austin, Texas. So I went, I looked at it, I entertained it. I didn't actually think I was ever going to do it. And eventually it became something that I wanted. So it was this idea that turned into this thing I tried to not want. And then all of a sudden I couldn't help myself. And it made all the sense in the world to me at that time.
And do you actually work there, or is it more of you design a menu and check in?
So June of 2018, we opened. So I officially signed on to the project in the late 2017. And so I moved to Austin 2018. I lived there for 2 years full time, getting it going, training the team. My very first hire was my sous chef, who is now the executive chef of the restaurant. And the intent always, when he came in, I said, listen, I'm not going to live here long term. You live here, you have a family, this is your home. So for 2 years, we are going to train you to take over. And that was the goal that we were constantly working towards. So it was a very intentional plan, but I lived there for 2 years full time.
What's your favorite thing about Austin? You know, they're saying Austin's a little bit like Seattle right now, where it had this amazing peak, and now it's kind of like settling a bit.
You know, I've seen it change in just a very short amount of time. But if I'm being completely honest with you, as much as my restaurant is there and I've spent time there, the most I really saw was the 1 block radius of my restaurant. As we all know, opening a restaurant is all consuming.
Yes,
Yes, it is.
Free time makes you like you want to sleep. You don't want to go do things, or at least I certainly didn't in that time. So my team knows more about Austin than I do, but I know everything about that restaurant.
That's sweet. Let's then jump into your book. You know, you're kind of following a path of many chefs, where you're doing restaurants, books, television, media of some sort. What's your book about, and how do people get it?
So my book, it's been out for a long time, and I guess, you know, it's something that I still love to talk about and say this is like my book, and I hope people can buy it still, because when I created the book, it's simple, a very simple title for people to find. It's Kristen Kish Cooking Recipes and Techniques, and it was driven off of understanding the basics, like we all have had to learn of the basics of what things mean in cooking terms, because once you learn those, then you can really amend any recipe, experiment. You have the basic foundation of cooking. And that for me was kind of the goal of that book. So, you know, it is slightly more, I guess I'd say, intermediate advanced cooking, but nothing's hard. It just takes time, which we all know that cooking, you know, sometimes is a lot of stagnant time, idle time. But yes, you can still get it. I think the publisher may or may not be out fully of that print. So if you probably have one, you have one of, I don't know how many, but you could probably still find them out there.
One of you don't know how many? That's a lot.
I
Lot of books.
I don't know. I don't know. I heard that Nat Geo tried to buy 300 of them from the warehouse, and that they didn't have all of them because we had sold out of all of the warehouse stock,
So
which is good news.
Yeah,
news.
tough to
but-
be that popular.
yeah, it's tough. Yeah, and I'm sure you're working on number 2 very soon, since you're doing all this traveling. We don't even ask. I know there is something coming up. Is
You
there?
know, I will say, I don't have currently a book in the works. Constantly always travel and creating recipes in your head for maybe one day of getting them published.
Right.
But we all know how long a book takes, and it takes a lot of time and
Sure.
effort. Something that I don't have currently.
All right.
I get that.
When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation with Kristen. Some of the segment titles that are coming up in her series for natgeotvpressroom.com is Panama's Cloud Forest Kitchen, Norway's Touch of Madness, Main Island Barns Supper, and Brazil's Floating Feast. If that doesn't get you interested in hanging with us for the next segment, then I'm not sure what would. But Kristen, stay there, and we're going to come right back here on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Very cool. I try not to get into too strong, Tom.
So is it,
Yeah, it'll be on Disney.
because it's not super clear to me on here.
Kristen, is it going to be on Disney Plus when it airs next week?
So it'll premiere on National Geographic Linear Channel on March 21st, and then an episode each week thereafter. Disney Plus starts streaming all the episodes March 22nd.
We need her to say it.
We'll have her say it.
Yeah. People have got to watch this magic.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Personally, I'm fascinated. This is very cool. The next generation running around the world doing.
Jump in wherever you want.
No, I will.
I'm just trying to keep it going.
I know. It's much better. I think it's much better radio right now when she's talking,
Okay.
you're talking. I think it's much better. We don't jump on each other. I think it's good. It's hard when you have 3 people. I want to, believe me, I want to talk to her, but it's not good radio. You got to make sure that it stays clean so people can actually understand and hear.
All right, welcome back. It's the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo. Don't forget, I'm just reminded as I watch everyone in the audience get their hot baked eggs with cheesy Mornay sauce and spinach and mushrooms and little arugula salad with Dahlia Bakery toast, that it's a pretty good deal around here, $25.
Coffee,
Come
breakfast,
down, join us.
Kirsten.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want tickets, just go to hotstovesociety.com. And they've been selling out recently, so maybe you should look. We keep it like a couple
20.
weeks in advance.
Yeah.
Couple days in advance. All right, we're going to continue our conversation with Kristen Kish. She has a new show coming out. And Kristen, I'm going to let you tell us where people can find your show and how to watch and all that sort of thing, because it's diabolical. You've got so much going on that you must be crazed.
I'm happily busy. I can't complain. So the show is called Restaurants at the End of the World. The premiere episode will go March 21st on National Geographic. However, if you don't have the standard, cable, it will be streaming all episodes on Disney Plus March 22nd. Okay. So you can catch them all there.
I have Disney Plus. I don't know about Nat Geo.
Well, I'm sure we can find it. I'm not worried about that. I think wherever there is a will to travel, there is a will to watch that show.
I got Disney Plus when Hamilton came out, and then I forgot to cancel it. I just keep getting the bills.
That's typically how all these streaming things
Exactly. They all get us once, forever.
So the premise is the restaurants at the end of the world. Kind of walk us through a segment and what gets you going, what floats your boat, so to speak, when it comes to finding these places, and what do you find exhilarating about them?
Obviously the title is Restaurants at the End of the World, and I am a chef traveling to these places, though that could lead you to believe that you know everything you need to about the show. But more so than that, and the thing that I find the driving force for me and the passion is understanding and seeing how somebody else lives, right? And being adopted means a lot of things to me, and it also never escapes me that I could have ended up anywhere with any family that decided to find me. Right. And I was chosen in that way. And so whenever I meet people or travel, whether it's for this show or not, or if there's food involved heavily or not, it's about understanding that I could have ended up in their family. And so I want to immerse myself 100% into what they want to teach me, show me, and let me live as much of their life as I can. So the restaurant, of course, we see these people and what it takes to be a kind of person to run a restaurant off the grid. Typically the adventure starts long before I even taste the food. And, I do everything from rappelled on waterfalls to get watercress, to diving in the Arctic, to get Arctic char and seaweed, or fish glacier ice out of centuries old glacier. So I'm definitely on an adventure because it is National Geographic after all. So there is that element of physical activity.
Right.
This must be really cool to be going around the world with National Geographic, because there's no place you're going to go where it's going to be bad. It's going to be just complete adventure from beginning to end. Plus,
well, it might be bad. They're just going to make it look good.
Well, exactly. but maybe you're right. But on top of that, you get the cooking part, which is really awesome. Like you said, learning the culture, the origins of their culture. It's so fascinating to me. Very fun.
I think the beauty of a lot of this program is that, we are going to certain locations, but these people are influenced obviously by their surroundings and where they grow up. But a lot of it is just like this plate of food that is so heavily infused in what they've needed to do in order to survive. A lot of them are just completely living off the land. So it's this exercise in this personal creativity that you get to watch and hear this ongoing narrative of that's how they got from point A to this food on the plate that you're about to eat.
So one of the segments is Brazil floating feast. Do tell me a little bit about this, because that's very curious to me. Are you in the middle of a lake?
We are in the middle of the ocean, very
Ocean.
close to one of the largest tropical fjord in the world, called Mamangua, and it is a microclimate, super biodiverse area. But what I learned from Gisela, who is our chef, she, a lot of the seafood is sold out to other parts of the world in order to make money. And so a lot of the local Brazilians didn't understand what their own seafood tasted like, because they're importing and exporting and, ultimately having seafood that quite frankly isn't theirs. And so we were able to meet with these fishermen and these folks that are starting to do and farm or grow or find and catch all their own local supply that they are servicing specifically to her. And she's put all these educational programs in place where they can learn a lot of things about business, about fishing, about, local activity, et cetera, in order to bring up the community in a bigger way.
Wow.
So, Kristen, I think the title of your series, it kind of made me think, about the new movie out called The Menu, and it's how it kind of pillories these restaurants that are a little bit over the top. And your title of the show kind of I thought to myself, well, is this kind of celebrating what we're also pillaring at the same time? But it sounds more organic than that. It sounds like these restaurants are not necessarily super highbrow, $1,000 a plate kind of places or they're more organic.
A lot of the restaurants weren't even set out to be a restaurant. So our premiere episode, Panama in the Cloud Forest in Boquete, Rolando he was living in Panama City. He was a flight attendant. He wanted to move his family out into, Boquete to grow a farm, to live off the land, to raise their children. And that was why they moved and why they started doing what they did. And then, he had this idea. He was like, well, oh my God, it's just too beautiful not to enjoy it. And then he started inviting people out and creating these tours where he'd take them around the farm. They'd have a beautiful lunch, and then they would hike back down to the base. Yes, very opposite of The Menu. I watched it. I thought it was very accurate in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah.
Things that we hate.
Don't say that.
Oh God, yeah, we've all met those diners.
Yes,
let's
yes,
be honest.
we have.
And the chefs.
And the chefs too,
chef,
yeah.
And ultimately, we are very much like that movie. We are most filled with joy by the things that bring us happiness and comfort, like in that movie, A Simple Burger. And a lot of these folks are really living kind of that truth, not not all that extra stuff around them.
Did you see the movie? I had to turn it off.
No, I
It was
haven't.
too
I haven't.
violent for
I've
me.
seen excerpt. I haven't watched it yet, but it's very close to home. So
I'm a lover,
Yeah.
not a fighter in the kitchen.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So there's the Brazil's Floating Feast, which you talked about, the main island barn supper. I would suggest that you had some blueberries.
There were no blueberries.
No
on the
way!
menu.
You're wrong.
Shocking.
There was lobsters.
There were oysters. There were definitely lobsters and oysters.
Yeah.
I think that episode in general was, a lot of these people make these decisions based off of a turning point in their personal life, where now they're like, I'm going to go the complete opposite direction.
Right.
And for our subject and our chef in this instance, she's no longer there, which I think is obviously completely fine. But it was a stepping stone for her to get somewhere else. And as we all know, in the jobs that we've had in restaurants, some places vibe with us, some places we find value in, and some places are just kind of a pit stop or a detour to teach us something as we move on. And that episode also reminds me that there are places close to home, because not everyone can get on an airplane and go to the floating island in the middle of Brazil's ocean.
That's right.
And there are places worth exploring that have something to teach you different, that are really right in our own backyard.
Perfect.
I mean, you guys being in the Pacific Northwest, I mean, just the amount of beauty and abundance that you have just off the mainland, I think is spectacular.
It's awesome. I can
Yeah,
tell
we
you,
have
having
plenty
been
of
here
backyards.
45 years, it's been awesome. Kristen Kisher's been our guest. She's got a new show out on National Geographic. It's called Restaurants at the End of the World. I believe I said that correctly.
Yep.
And good luck to you. I hope it
Yeah,
all
all the
goes
best.
swimmingly.
And keep traveling.
you.
Keep traveling.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on.
All right.
Cheers.
Up next, 1,000-layer duck fat potatoes. A new cookbook from Susan Gravely. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Thank you so much, Kristen.
Thank you. Have a
Bye-bye.
nice
All
day.
the best. Good luck.
All
You're
right,
so
thanks. Bye-bye.
thoughtful. Thank you. Wow. What a cutie pie. She's got, really? Wow. So much. You remember when she was in Boston?
Yeah.
How's breakfast? So good.
I think I've met her before.
I
We
think
did
so.
a couple of things together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Oh,
delicious. Come. Come.
A little better.
Very delicious.
How do you keep? You don't need to bake the Mornay on top.
Right.
Bake the eggs and put the fresh sauce on. When they're done.
Right. Delicious. Yeah. Mm. How's breakfast? Yeah.
Unlike Mr. Rotro, I can use a little Tabasco.
You can use what? What do you say, Tom?
Perfect. Thank you.
Mine are perfect. Perfect. No. Mm.
Did you nail it today? So good.
Nothing like a baked eggs.
You saw the recipe. It's on
Yes.
the last page.
Yeah. Easy.
I think it is easy. It's just
Very
time
easy.
consuming.
You just have to do it ahead.
Yeah.
But you know what's cool is you can make a couple pans for
That-
multiple dinners.
Oh, remember to say that.
Yeah.
You're going to all that work.
I know, man. If you're gonna go through that work, make like 3 Pyrex pan,
Yeah.
freeze 2 or 1, whatever. Cut them in small pieces, like they say. Freeze them, and then you have it in the fridge, ready for your breakfast. Yeah. You do baked egg and potatoes like that. Oh,
It's so good.
oh. Puts a new meaning to breakfast.
Crispy goodness.
Makes me want a breakfast.
Okay, everybody, ask your neighbor to show them your teeth. Make sure you don't have spinach in your teeth. Be a good friend. Pam, let me see. Have any spinach in your teeth? Oh, okay. That's what good friends do.
I know. I know.
Very delicious. Sean, did you have breakfast? Huh? Yeah. Where is she?
Next time we're going to take those French eggs to Louisiana and put a little hot sauce on them.
We've got to get those adorable baby bottles. They're so cute. I just want to buy a case of those. Have it with me all the time.
Great. How much
Traveling-
Tabasco do you really use?
None.
She never used
I am
Tabasco.
totally calling BS on that.
I just want the little bottles, the little ketchup bottles, the little Tabasco bottles.
They're cute, but not my thing.
Recycling nightmare.
All right, ready for second hour?
Okay, we're going to jump right back into another Zoom, right?
No, we're gonna do this.
Oh,
First,
duck fat
potato.
potatoes first. Okay.
Just to stay in the theme of breakfast.
I wonder who wrote this show, Gobsmacked.
Or you
I
know
just
it.
want to hear you say it.
You know when you read that, it's me.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Okay, here we are, hour number 2 of the Hot Stove Society show. Hopefully you're listening in your garden. Pam, you were talking earlier about what are you doing in your retirement? Because all you do is this show now, once a week. So what are you doing with all your time?
I like when you say all you do. You ever tried to put this show together?
I'm actually incredibly busy because my last day here at Hot Stove, the executive director of the Food Bank and Senior Center, where I'm on the board, have been for 6 years, exited. So I'm conducting the search for our new executive director so that I don't have to do it.
There's an
then-
incentive there. That's good.
And then the other nonprofit that I'm on the board of, I had been ignoring because we were so busy here during Christmas, Washington Farmland Trust. I'm head of the education committee, so I've been digging around, educating the board because running a land trust is complicated
Yes.
financially and acquiring. So I've been being more conscientious about my commitments.
I love it. But you, you always did a good job of that, even when you were working full time.
I know, not enough.
One of my favorite things about you. In our second hour, we're going to talk about a new cookbook from Susan Gravely. It's called Italy on a Plate, and she is the woman who started
Founder
of Vestry,
Vietri,
China and stuff, or
Yep.
stoneware, or whatever you call that.
tableware.
Tableware, yeah. Which is kind of all that lovely floral Italian.
Gorgeous. If you have a chance to go online and try it. Well, we'll talk about this when she comes on,
Yeah.
but it's a beautiful site. and
Gorgeous,
She's
yeah.
got a beautiful collection of Italians.
Tell us
Dineware.
about the French wine tasting we're going to have today.
Well, Cyril Frechier,
Mhm.
a great sommelier for Rovers for many, many years back in the days, and very dear friend of mine. And he's also he has a collection that he's bringing from France of affordable, what I call
that's
affordable
exciting.
but delicious wine. So looking into places where the name is not necessarily on the lips of everyone, like Sancerre or big name like that, where people know that name, but right next door to it, there are little jewel that is seeking bringing to the forefront. So we're going to talk about that when he's on.
So fun. We're going to finish the hour with our food for thought tasty trivia brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs and Sauces. Look for them in your local grocery store. But first, we're going to dive into a delicious picture that you can't see at home, but we can see right here in the hot stove. And it's a picture of 1,000-layer duck fat potatoes.
Well,
Well,
I don't know.
it says here's a quote from my show sheet that Pam wrote. You will be gobsmacked by these potatoes.
Now I want to know how many 16-year-olds know what that means.
Yeah, exactly.
well, for those of us who flip through Instagram, following our favorite food people, I'm really rarely paused by a picture of food because it's like all looks the same. But then
Eventually.
this one stopped me in my tracks
Mhm.
because I love crispy, salty things. And the way I thought at first it was some new magical phyllo layered yumminess. But when I saw, because Tom, you turned me on to the magic of duck fat
Mhm.
with potatoes.
Mhm.
But the way that this one is made,
You don't get a body like this by eating steamed potatoes.
Yeah, nothing on it. No, that's not.
But this recipe originated at a steakhouse and is a popular side in London. And it's something that I'm going to make for you. Should have made it today.
Did you read how it was made?
Yes. And
So tell me a little bit about it, because it looks to me like when you make what's the French one where you layer the potatoes?
Gratin, like
Yeah,
potato
but
gratin.
really thinly sliced potatoes. It looks to me that this is a roasted pan of very thinly sliced tomatoes, probably drizzled with duck fat
Yeah.
throughout all
Yeah.
the layers, like you would a phyllo, and then they cut it, and now
Yeah.
as a cold potato. Now we pan fry it and
Exactly.
get the crispy edge.
It's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's pressed. It's pressed so that you can actually cut it and it doesn't fall apart.
It doesn't fall apart.
You know, because it's got lots of fat. So it's pressed after it comes out of the oven.
And the natural starch from the potato will stick it together. when
Starch
it's
and
pressed.
fat together is going to seal it. So once that's done, you just turn your pan upside down on the cutting board. Then you cut portions, and then you can freeze those ahead of time. You know,
Uh-huh.
you can prep it ahead of time, and then when it's time to eat, you just refry those in duck fat,
Mhm.
and that duck fat gives it that beautiful crispy, hard crispy on the outside. Which who doesn't love that?
Mhm. And duck
And then
fat
the
also.
inside, of course, the inside is full of that gorgeous melt in your mouth potato that's got oozing duck fat.
Uh-huh.
So who doesn't like that?
And duck fat offers. People say, "Well, can I use?" People freak out when they hear duck fat.
Why?
Can I use olive oil? Can I use butter? Can I use some other kind of fat? And I would say, yeah, use chicken fat if you don't have duck fat. Because
No, use pork fat.
Or use pork fat. What you're missing out is, and I don't think necessarily people understand when they eat it. Like if you were to just give that dish of duck fat fried potatoes to 10 people, I would bet only 2 could tell you that there was a duck fat or an
Maybe,
animal fat,
maybe.
2, because it's an umami quality about the fat.
Yeah, it's a flavor.
Yeah.
I mean,
You just
duck
don't
fat-
understand where it came from. It's organically delicious.
Right, and it's got a flavor that's different than pork fat. Or, I mean, every fat has a different flavor. So, butter tastes differently, and olive oil, and I mean, you can use any of the different fat. It's not just married to duck fat, but duck fat will give it a beautiful flavor that
Right.
you wouldn't get when you were doing olive oil, for example.
And it has less cholesterol than beef fat or pork
Right,
fat or
right.
butter or
Cleaner.
yeah. It has a lower melting point. So
well, we only have a short minute left, but Terry had a wonderful idea because this recipe, and you should look for it on Food and Wine. It was from Food and Wine magazine, 1,000-layer duck fat. But the process of baking it then gets weighted down
Mhm.
and frozen and then cut to be fried. So Terry suggested, well, while you're at it, make a couple pans of it because it's a complicated process, and you can have it in the freezer and then whip it out and make these beautiful little cubes, because the
Yeah,
way they
right.
serve it at the restaurant is in small squares, which I
Right.
think is probably enough.
But
well,
it's
the more
great.
brown edge, the better.
Yeah.
It's great to have a bag in the freezer where you can pick up a couple potato portion and then do two baked egg or 2 sunny side up and put that right next to it with a slice of bacon or maybe a little duck prosciutto and then put that right on top. I mean, that's a nice healthy breakfast.
We're coming over.
Why is everybody laughing?
Tell
It's
Kathy
very
to
healthy.
send us another place.
You just can't have that every day. That's all. Just treat yourself.
That's the thing. Just don't do it
Moderation.
every day.
That's what Julia used to say.
Exactly. And so personally, these are so rich. You don't really need to make a
Just a
second
couple
pan. Just a couple slices is enough for whatever you're doing. So.
Yeah.
All right. The Vietri tableware founder, Susan Gravely, was inspired to write about her Italian experiences with the artisans and the cuisine of Italy. And we're going to talk about that next when we come back on Cairo, the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Oh, yeah.
Don't you want to make those potatoes? Oh my goodness.
You're unmuted now.
It what?
Maybe mute. Filling my potatoes with gorgonzola.
Good morning, Susan.
Good morning. Is that Terry or Tom?
Yes, Thierry Rotureau, the chef in a hat.
Hi, Terry. Good to see you.
Are you in Italy?
No, I'm at home.
Where are you?
I'm in Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
All right, North Carolina. Beautiful.
North Carolina, beautiful. We have a beautiful day, and we even have our red buds coming out.
Oh, wow.
I'll be there in 3 weeks to play golf at Pinehurst.
Oh, have you been before?
I have.
Yeah, it's a great place. It's only an hour and 20 minutes from us. It's Pinehurst is so fun.
Yeah, they're building the 10th course at Pinehurst right now.
Oh my
It's
gracious!
It's a golfer's paradise.
Golfers and horseback riders.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's right next to.
Love riding a
Southern
horse on a
Pine.
golf course.
You'll get in trouble.
Oh,
That's right.
I'm
I was
sorry, they
gonna
don't
show
mix.
y'all. If you were talking about those divine potatoes, I was going to show you talking about rich potatoes with gorgonzola.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but
That's a-
rich. Oh my gracious!
Yeah.
Or raclette, would be the same thing.
Oh, raclette is incredible.
It's-
Yes.
You take a potato and then you
Yeah.
put the raclette right on top of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super good.
Something light for breakfast.
Yes, exactly.
You get the whole day to digest.
With heartburn.
No, you just got to drink a good glass of wine with that.
There you go. There you go. There you go. Well, thank you. Are we just going to talk about the book? Is that what we'd like to do?
You'll hear my introduction, and then we'll jump right in.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
And it's Vietri, and I'm Gravelly.
Gravelly at Vietri. Okay.
Good.
We are trainable. Thank you, Susan.
Now look at this. This is puree of potatoes, like mashed potatoes, but it has gorgonzola cheese in it.
Oh.
Oh,
On
yeah.
a beautiful plate, of course.
Thank you. Our first dinnerware line. So the whole book is filled with our Vietri dinnerware.
Hold on.
and
We're going to talk
glasses.
about this on the show.
Okay.
We can't
let's
tell
do
them
it.
everything right now.
No.
Is our audience ready? You guys
Yeah.
finished your breakfast, and
Come
you're
on,
all
Tom,
ready
let's
to.
do it.
I know the coffee is empty. If you want to tell Chef Boyardee back there,
Oh,
will you switch the coffee?
Chef Boyardee does not make eggs like that.
You looking at it?
Wow, her head came up like I was
I know.
like I had a
Like,
Can you,
100-mile-an-hour tennis serve coming at her.
if she had gun, you'd be dead.
you can't see him.
Welcome back. It's this Hot Stove Society show on Cairo. We just traveled from Connecticut with Kristen Kish, and now we're heading down to North Carolina with Susan Gravelly. She has a line of house or tableware, I would say, called Vietri. And it is, she's also got a book out called Italy on a Plate, Travels, Memories, Menus by her. And Susan, welcome to the show.
Hello.
So glad to be here. So thank you so much for having me.
You know, Susan, it struck me when I heard your voice that you're not from Italy.
You're right, but you should hear me speak Italian with a Southern accent.
All right, give it
They
up.
love it.
Give it up. Tell
Oh,
me
yeah.
how much you love Chef Thierry and I in an Italian accent.
Oh, con mio cuore speciale questo Terry.
Oh, mille grazie, mille grazie.
Bene, bene.
So you fell in love, it seems to me, with the country, the people, the potters, everything that is
Culture.
Italy, the culture. Tell us about your journey.
Well, my journey's been pretty incredible, I must say. I came from a family in eastern North Carolina. My father was a tobacconist and bought and sold the burley, the sweet part of tobacco, started by my great grandfather, and with a handshake. And we always had foreigners in our home. So we always were around the table. We were always entertaining, changing the dinnerware, changing the meal depending upon the season. And as a little girl, the only way I could stay downstairs was wear a dress and serve drinks and bring out the cigarettes for them to taste. So I did it, loved it, and really learned about how small the world was. We had a globe, and Daddy would say, here is Cairo, here is India, here is Italy, here's Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Look how small the world is. You're only a plane ticket or a phone call away. So I always felt that. And there were 4 of us, and we all felt it. We traveled a lot. The trip that created Vietri was a trip my mother and father had planned. And unfortunately, the month he sold his company, he had a heart attack and died at age 60.
Oh,
But 2 years later, I was in New York. My sister was in Chapel Hill having her second baby, and my brothers were not invited. And Mama said, I want to take the trip your father and I had planned. So off we went, flying Alitalia, meeting my sister, who's pretty sassy, met an Italian man walking up to second class to go to the bathroom. He gave us this card. We tried his restaurants in Rome, fabulous. Went down to the Amalfi Coast and stayed at a hotel called Il San Pietro. Absolutely on your bucket list of one of the 10 wonders of the world. You go down in the hill, in the rocky mountain, the doors open, you're in a hand-carved, arched, huge room, dark tiles, white cotton-covered furniture, art on the walls, and looking out to the sea. You turn left, and there's the dining room and it had peach-colored tablecloths and all this assortment of Campagna dinnerware, which was the dinnerware we started the company with, which was all mix and match. I'll show you a picture, mix and match patterns.
Yeah,
And this group
gorgeous.
has been known for anyone that's gone down to the Amalfi Coast. But at the hotel, they said, we've had hundreds of people look at it and say they were going to do something, but only you started. So we hired a driver, went to the factory, used 3 of our vacation days talking about what if we bought for ourselves? What if we bought for our friends and family? What if we opened a retail store, a cooking school? Then we sat with a couple from New York who were in clothing manufacturing, and they said, you love to design too much. You love to eat on these plates. Go on and wholesale and distribute. And truly, that was the seed. That was the beginning of this company called Vietri that's 40 years old this year.
wow.
Congratulations.
It is
That's
definitely
spectacular.
into all the dinerware stores. You know, you see it in many different places, but it's
Gift
definitely-
shops, yeah.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
see it
it's-
in Italy all over the place too.
Yeah.
So.
You do.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's-
You know, we it's so much fun because we design with, we work with 25 different factories all over Italy. So they've known me for so long, and my young 2 counterparts, that they anticipate designs, but we're always brainstorming, forward thinking what's next. And then unfortunately we have to retire things to bring in more, but we're now in over 2,000 better specialty stores and in Neiman's and Bloomingdale's. So it's been a huge adventure, and an adventure that got this done.
Italy
And this Italy on a plate.
on a plate.
Travel, memories, menus. And this is a combination of 8 people or restaurants or places that really helped build this company. I started with the story of my family, and then I wrote about these families, went back over with my husband and this fabulous young team, Italian photographers. We took pictures with these families or at these restaurants, and then they shared family Italian recipes from their region of Italy to be in this book. So this book is just easy, delicious recipes that are from their areas of the country. And then the last chapter is called Bringing Italy Home, and it's at our house, and their recipes, for my grandmother and great grandmother and mother. So
Nice.
Great. It was really fun.
Beautiful pictures. I mean, the pictures are absolutely gorgeous. I mean, I browsed through the book. I haven't had a chance to read the whole thing. And you're right. The adventure at the beginning, just describing how you get there with your family, that's beautiful. That's how it should start. Any traveling, I want to be you.
Exactly.
Well, thank you. Come on. I mean, I've got plenty of arms, and you can hold on to me and head out with me. So it's really, really been fun.
If somebody were to buy this book and there's one recipe in here that you don't want them to miss, because nobody really cooks everything in a cookbook. What recipe would you say is the one that they can't miss? And we only have about a minute, Susan.
Okay, the one that I am not out about are shortbread cookies with the essence of orange and sage.
Oh, yes.
Oh my gosh, the sage brings out the flavor of this explosion in your mouth. And this is a recipe by Frances Mays, who wrote Under the Tuscan Sun,
Oh, very
who lives
nice.
in Cortona.
Wow.
Well, I can't wait to try it. I personally, when I opened and went through the book, the rabbit with potato frites, that is right up my alley, chef.
Me too.
Can you do that for me?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Let me go to the
Absolutely.
Arboretum. There is plenty of them hanging around right now.
Oh,
Yeah, and that's from the Friuli area of Italy, which is north of Venice, and really one of the most delicious areas of all of Italy. Here it is.
Light fruity white wine too
Yeah.
in that area.
beautiful.
Beautiful.
All right, Susan Gravely has been our guest. The Eight Tree Pottery, or stoneware, earthenware, or art, or whatever
Design.
you want, however you want to look at it. It can be used every day. It can be hung on your wall as an art piece. So your choice. But congratulations on your journey and your deliciousness, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. And
All the
you
best.
can buy it at Amazon.com.
Amazon.com. There you go.
Amazon.com.
All
There
right.
you go.
Coming up,
Thank you.
we have Cyril Frechier, or sommelier that can describe some wine from France.
All right.
Stay with us.
That's on Cairo Radio, the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Man,
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it, Susan.
Thank you. It was great. Appreciate it.
Yeah, book's tremendous. See you later.
Okay, bye.
ça va.
Bye.
Tu veux une chaise ou pas, non? Debout, là, ici. Tu veux quoi? Debout ou assis? Yeah, we're going to test them too.
If Julie ever pours us some.
Hello?
Sean's going to fit that mic to you. He'll be over in just a second.
No, Julia. We need both 2 glasses to try those wines.
Thank you.
No, he can have them, but we need.
Oh, that
Oh,
close?
yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm going to need this. Voilà. Okay.
No, these are for sure.
Cyril, you want to pour those out so we can
Yeah.
try them up there?
Ça va. No? I mean,
Perfect.
Pam, do you want to give?
Here's one. Oh, white and red for Pam, white and red for me.
I get you. Yeah.
Thank you, Cyril.
Oh, we both can.
Yeah, I'll jump in. Sure, I'm looking for a good $5 Cabernet and Chardonnay.
He's gonna go. Oh my!
Yeah, you let me know when you find one.
I did a tasting yesterday. I don't do generally tasting of $5 screw cap wines. Theaters that we operate. Yesterday they were mostly Southern. I'm a prince to do such work.
It's tough.
Was it good?
575 was good. 25. No, from Washington.
Southern. From Washington State?
I'm looking. So if the $5
Juice out there.
Well, we had 2 Washington States at charge, and
Yeah.
it went from 425 to 575.
Yeah, it's a tough category. I mean, that's I'm trying to create my. I'm not creating. I'm looking into doing my own label possibly, because you buy bulk juice and kind of, but having access to the juice is the good quality juice is not.
Well, I buy a lot. I buy like 150 cases of Thai Tobacco,
Wow.
and I buy 56 cases of pellets at a time of Cabernet and Chardonnay.
But all from Washington.
Pinot from Oregon.
Oh yeah.
The other 2 are from Washington, and the Prosecco's from Italy.
Right.
But I buy a lot. And I have a warehouse I can buy.
How much you pay for your prosecco? Yeah.
475. And for Cava, 475.
Yeah. Well, amazingly enough, Cava is actually cheaper than prosecco. Is really prices are going like crazy. So. Yeah. It's a magical word.
It's amazing how people are like so.
Prosecco is outselling
Yeah,
almost
yeah, yeah.
anything.
Right, right.
So next to Sauvignon Blanc or Sancerre, Sancerre.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Yeah, but that's my dream to find some of those wines, like super inexpensive. But
Yeah, if you can fill a container with 2/3 of that, then just your nice
Yeah.
stuff on the back end of it.
oh yeah, that's the trick.
Well, the nice stuff already comes. You don't need to worry about the nice stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, the cheap stuff comes too. It's great.
Yeah, but the good cheap stuff does not. It's not. Usually, it stays in the country where it's at. No, a lot of undiscovered. I think a lot of undiscovered good pearl stays in the area because they don't make as much. And
All right, you ready, Pam?
Born ready.
We are back in the kitchen at the Hot Stove Society. My God, chef, we've had 1,000-layer duck fat potatoes. We've
went to Italy,
went to Italy. We've been to Connecticut. This
North
is
Carolina,
where are we headed now, chef?
France.
France.
Well, I mean Seattle, obviously, but
Mhm.
with a French touch. So Cyril Frechier is a big wine guru in this city for many years now, and he's doing his own import of wine through his collection, Frechier collection, and I'm going to let him tell us all about it. But he also was my best man at my wedding, so we were still
very
friends.
nice.
We were best friends in Chicago in 1979 and moved to Los Angeles together.
Uh-huh.
So it's been a long, long, long time friendship. And I just thought it would be cool to just talk about what he's up to, because I think what he's up to is definitely what people are looking for. So, Cyril, welcome to the show and tell us what you're doing.
thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
So yes, I lost my position with a fairly large distributor at the onset of COVID. So, and that kind of spurred me to do something that I've been thinking of doing for over 20 years was to start my own importing wines. And so I started that in 2020. I joined actually an existing couple partners that were importing Italian wines, LNG distributors.
See,
And
Tom, not all French people are Italians.
I know, it's just you. It turns out it's just you.
I know.
and then they were looking to expand into France. So we started talking, and I have pretty good expertise with French wines and sourcing. And so I joined them in 2020, and then been developing a French portfolio with them since. So my goal, my purpose is to bring value wines, classic wines from classic regions, but that have great bang for the buck as far as the flavors goes and the price point. So it's sometimes easier said than done. You do get to there are multiple thousands of producers in any given regions, and I would say that a lot of them go a lot of effort into producing wines, but they're not necessarily all that great. So finding the gems is kind of the that's my goal, and bring those to the market in Seattle. We work mostly with Seattle market and the north and south of the area.
Gems is the right word. Finding
Yeah.
the gems.
No,
because
exactly.
There's so much juice out there, so many producers, that you feel lucky and honored when you find one that really lives up to not just the price, but to when you are in a restaurant being a sommelier to say, this is the best value on my menu. And that's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, which is, I think it's something that you don't find enough in restaurants sometimes. The wine prices tend to be high to begin with, and you kind of need to, I feel sometimes that you need to spend quite a bit of money in order to get quality, especially in, once the wine gets onto a wine list, your cost is multiplied many times over. But to me, a good wine list should always have a really affordable, tremendous value and great wine. So that's kind of and same thing for retail, really. So that's kind of my purpose, is to kind of look for classic regions. Again, here we're going to be tasting wines from the Languedoc. I mean, this is an area that was producing wines. The Romans were actually established viticulture there, so that's over 2,000 years old. So I wouldn't say it's a new discovery, but what's happening with some of these regions is that the quality has been getting better and better over the last, I would say, about 20 years.
The new generation is taking over.
Exactly. So there's a lot of kind of young blood coming in the regions, and then the focus, of course, is more on quality now, especially when it comes to viticulture, because that's kind of where great wines start. It starts in the vineyard, and then hopefully, if the grapes are in great quality, there's very little to do as far as winemaking. I mean, you kind of, the less winemaking, the better usually the wine, but you need to start with great base product, which would be the grapes.
And then the value really comes in. It's an undiscovered sort of area from, like, say, the American market, so to speak. The Languedoc it's been out there for a while, but the value is in that it's not from Burgundy, right?
Right.
Or,
Right.
Exactly.
it's not from the
It's
Rhone.
not selling for
because people-
thousands of dollars at auctions.
We know those wines,
Right.
whether they're good or bad. Just because it's from Burgundy doesn't make it good.
No.
But you're not paying for the name of the region.
Correct.
on this
Exactly.
bottle. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so. The first wine was as far as Languedoc is, it's kind of a warmer region generally in terms of climate. So what you find tend to be wines that are a little bit richer in alcohol. You have kind of rounder, fatter style of wines, but there are some cool regions within the Languedoc, and which are you're higher up, you're further away inland, and where you find some really bright, some grapes with good acidity, bright flavors. And they do grow some really, generally in terms of white wines, they tend to be fairly rich and oily. Whereas this producer that I brought, a Chardonnay, which is actually from the Limoux area, which is a little bit inland, it's great. It's so, as you might know, Chardonnay comes from, I mean, some of the very best Chardonnays come from Burgundy. But again, it comes at a high price price tag, and being able to find something that would be comparable to really well-made, inexpensive Burgundy at a quarter of the price.
Yeah. So, and what's the label people should look for?
So this is called Les Turitel, which is actually, but in the area, Turitel is your limestone shell that you find in the vineyard. So, which is, generally in Burgundy, you find a lot of limestone, which is good for Chardonnay, kind of gives a lot of minerality to the wines. And so these vineyards are, in a sense, very similar to what you would find in Burgundy, except you're 500 kilometers away or more. And this is a stainless steel fermented, so no oak, so very pure, very clean, crisp style of white.
That's what I love about
Yeah.
it. It's super.
Exactly.
It's got varietal character that is, it's very.
It's showing the
noticeable.
fruit. It's showing
Yeah.
the grape. It's not showing the wood. So it's nice. I like the style. I like this style. And if somebody was, I mean, where can you find that?
So we work with, of course, in restaurants, but with retailers. We sell wines to PCC, the town and country markets, like such as Ballard Market, for example. It's a great supporter of our brands. And then in retailers, we have our wines at Champion Wine Cellars up in. I don't know if you've ever been there, but that's, I think, one of
Great store.
the top retailers right now in Seattle. Great job. So you find the wines here and there in the city.
Right. And then what's the other one we're trying?
So the other one is actually, you mentioned Côte du Rhône, but so Côte du Rhône is, everyone knows Côte du Rhône. It's almost kind of a generic appellation now in terms of name recognition. And what I wanted to do with my Côte du Rhône is find a village which was not so well known in Seattle. So this is comes from a village that's called Roex, and so Roex is
ROEX.
Roaix.
AIX.
Roex. So it's a village it's northeast of Avignon, so kind of up in the hills, very hilly area, and you have so a bit of elevations, which again gives you a slightly cooler climate within a warm zone. And what appealed to me on this particular wine was that there's a very high proportion of Syrah in the blend. So it's Grenache, which is always kind of the base varietal for Southern Rhone reds. And then Grenache comes generally at a much smaller percentage in the blend, but this is almost 40+% Syrah. So Syrah is going to give you a lot of lift, violets, more floral qualities, and a little more spicy, black pepper kind of characteristics. So it balances out the Grenache, which tends to be a little more, your richer Grenache is, big strawberries, kind of those figs, sometimes raisins, so those more darker notes. So the Syrah really can lift it up.
And it's from that more southern area, so it's a little bit tastes riper, right?
Yeah.
Because of the heat.
Yeah,
and-
exactly. And that's that is one global warming in terms of wine regions now. There's a shift into especially regions that tend to blend, because what was maybe a custom blend in the past tends to be now kind of readjusted. And Syrah comes in as a, in a blend. It really kind of lifts the finish, the backup on the wine. So you find kind of more Syrah in the blends now from the Southern Rhone, just to kind of keep the wine from getting too heavy, too rich.
Super fun. What kind of price point are we looking at here for these?
Well, for
Retail.
retail, the Chardonnay is under 18,
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
That's
the
right.
Roex is under 20.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good
And
value.
that's great. See,
Good
to
value.
me, I think that's what this is all about. As consumer, people are travel more and more, and they're more and more knowledgeable about wine. They've expanded their palette from the $4 box wine to all the way up to that.
Mhm.
I think it's hard to find decent wine at these prices, and I think it's very cool. And bringing them all the way from France and being competitive to local market is very cool.
Yeah, I think it's terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us,
My
Cyril.
pleasure. Thank
Yeah.
you so much. Yeah.
uh,
Look for wines in your favorite store.
There you go. And we'll take a picture of these and put them on our website because I cannot pronounce them.
That's fine.
Right. Well, we should put them on the website anyway.
Anyway, there you go.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, Pam, can we do that?
Absolutely.
All right. When we come back, it's time for Food for Thought Tasty Trivia brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs. On Cairo, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Merci. Donne-lui à lui. Take them home, Tom.
Maybe I'll put them out and let anybody who wants to take them. Had them before. I'll leave them here if anybody wants to come up and taste them. You guys made it through. It's amazing.
One more segment. Don't rush the gift shop all at once. Just kind of cycle your way through there. Chef Terry would be happy to sign any one of my cookbooks since I learned everything I know from him.
And the truth.
Glad you're admitting it.
Exactly. Somebody has to
Okay.
tell them the truth.
Yeah.
We lost our competitor.
Uh-oh.
Got a little nervous. Had to
She got
pee.
nervous. She got stage fright. Exit left.
Hey, Bridget, you want to join us up here with our audience member? We'll take on both of you. Since you can't seem to hack it yourself, we'll take
Threats.
tennis elbow. I think you have tennis elbow.
You're supposed to go. That tennis ball coming fast your way.
Grab her, Pam.
He invited Bridget to assist you.
What is your name? Janelle.
Janelle and Brigitte.
Janelle and Brigitte.
Brigitte. Janelle, yes, you can. Yeah. Uh-huh. They're hot.
Delicious. They are hot. He had to go sit in the car and lay
That's,
down.
that's hot.
Wow. That hot.
He's he's also
Yeah, he's a delicate flower. Yeah. I got one in my mouth last night and whoops, yeah.
they're so good. You order them because they're so good, and then you eat them, and you're like,
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
Okay, Janelle. Would you grab that microphone and bring it right to your mouth?
okay,
That's
you
where I
hear me
want you
good?
to answer from,
okay.
right there. And then when Bridget's going to answer, I want her to do the same. Just grab it over there. And you can pull it out if you want. Although,
Feel more like a rock star doing that.
Yeah.
Sean, can that come out of there or was it better to leave it in?
Hey,
He says it's better to leave it in.
all right.
So just move it, but you have to be nice and tight to it or you can't hear it on the radio. We can hear
This
you
is,
in here.
this is
but-
not America's Got Talent. This is actually Hot Stuff
should be.
Society.
Brigitte.
She's gonna go. Oh no!
Oh, that's right. You're in front of the camera. It doesn't move quite all that far over. Okay. No, you can't be. You have
Yeah,
to be
you-
on their
Gonna
microphone.
be on this side. I can move over this side.
Yeah. Just there you go.
Oh, cooperation.
I love this.
Back to my big head.
We're very prof.
Quite as big as.
You think we'd done a show before?
I didn't realize you played with the tennis ball on the back of your head.
Always ready to smack.
Has
Just in
everybody
case.
taken a class from Bridget? She is
Yes.
such a talented teacher.
She's a feisty one. Be careful.
She's a great teacher. All your classes are sold out, though.
She does. I've taken 3 from her.
I think it's because you're used to teaching 18-year-olds. You have a patience level beyond. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Wow.
That will teach you patience.
All right. Are we ready, Brigitte and Janelle?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, it's time for Rub with Love Food for Thought Tasty Trivia, brought to you by our multifaceted line of Rub with Love spices that will fuel your creativity for a wide range of dishes. Pam, I love when you write these flowery
You know, I,
entrances. You can find them all in our gift shop here at the Hot Stove Society or down at the Rub Shack in the market at Seatown and all over the place. Rub with Love is available around the Pacific Northwest in grocery stores like the Met Market, PCC, Town and Country, market of choice or multiple locations of Bartell Drugs and McClendon hardware stores. I went and I bought some at McClendon hardware store in Renton the other day because I was down there and it was delicious. If you are listening from our from spring training in Arizona, you'll find your Rub with Love pantry items at any of the 11 locations of AJ's Fine Foods. And I've bought many jars there too. All right, Pam, how do we play the game and who's playing?
Well, we've got a theme today, St. Patrick's Day, and my favorite leprechaun, Becky Guzak, wrote these questions for us. So each of the contestants are going to get 5 questions related to St. Patrick's Day, Irish history, luck, and trickery.
Oh,
And then we'll see who gets the most right, who our winner is.
And our contestants are Brigitte, the famous instructor here at the Hot Stove Society.
and Janelle.
And say it again, Chef.
Janelle.
Say it again, Chef.
Janelle.
Oh, I
Correct
love that.
pronunciation.
I'll say it again. Janelle.
Oh, look at her. She's getting all tingly.
She's blushing.
I'm trying to make them lose, to just get them all.
Yeah.
Get him
what a-
flutter.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Chef.
Okay, I'll
Thierry.
start with the Irish story. Let's see how good we do.
3-leafed shamrocks were believed to be used by St. Patrick to explain the Holy Trinity. But
True.
But we're switching geographies. What does the Holy Trinity refer to in Cajun cuisine?
I thought it was about the Irish story. What happened? What?
I got
was
this.
totally
I
in
got
Ireland.
this, Chef.
Holy Trinity in Cajun cuisine.
It's a blend of spice. No? Okay.
The trio of onion, celery, and
Oh, yeah,
bell
that's
peppers
true,
as
that's
the
true.
base of the dish.
The Brunoise of the South. Okay. Never mind.
And Becky's suggesting, do you know why they deviated from the traditional French trinity of vegetables or mirepoix? Bridget does.
This is the chef's turn.
No, but she's asking her. Wait, is this a
You
question
want to
for
answer
me?
that one, Terry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this a question for me?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Why did they what?
Why did they deviate from the traditional French trinity? So they have onion, celery, and bell pepper. So what-
Because they had bell peppers, but they didn't have the carrots.
Carrots.
Exactly. So we're giving you that one. That
And
was
to,
awesome.
and to add to that, it was all
He earned
swamp,
it.
so they had to grow vegetables that grew above ground.
There we
because the soil was
go.
too wet.
Oh, good food knowledge. Number 2, true or false? There is a Peruvian sweet potato called little green leprechaun that has green skin and bright orange flesh.
True.
False.
It sounded really fun. I never heard of it, but I was like, that sounded really fun.
What is the potent green herb infused alcoholic spirit derived from fennel, anise, and wormwood? It is also known as the green fairy.
Is it chartreuse? No, chartreuse is spices from the mountain. So, absinthe?
Yes, absinthe. We're giving it to you. Yes. And 4,
Oh, the fennel, of course.
Thank
Should have
God
been there the
Pam
whole
is
time.
feeling generous today. This
Yeah.
so generous.
I
True
think
or
I've heard
false?
we're giving it to you.
It's a luck
3
of the
times
Irish.
already. Yeah.
Back off.
True or false? If Lucky Charms sold in Europe had the same ingredients as in the U.S., the box would have to contain a warning label.
I'm going to say true to that
Yes, stay with your gut.
because good luck does not always good luck.
Yellow food dyes 5 and 6 and red dye number 40 can be used in food sold in Europe, but the products must carry a warning saying the coloring agents may have an adverse effect on activity and attention in children. Yeah. Wow.
And on your luck.
And on your luck. And number 5, according to folklore, you get pinched on St. Patrick's Day for not wearing green because green makes you invisible to leprechauns and they like to pinch. What is the exact measurement of a pinch of salt or other seasoning?
I'm looking at your expertise.
Yeah,
See if
don't
I can
look at
read
me.
it. A teaspoon and a half.
For a pinch?
I'm just going to guess something. I mean, I'm going to go all the way to.
A 16th of a teaspoon.
Okay, see, I was close.
All right.
That's what you get for being godless in France.
Janelle and Bridget.
We don't
Yes?
believe in leprechaun.
True or false? St. Patrick's Day used to be a dry holiday in Ireland.
False. False.
It's-
Nothing's dry. In Ireland.
No, it is true. Between 1903 and 1970, by Irish law, all the pubs were shut down for the day because of religious reasons. This law was later overturned when St. Patrick's Day was reclassified as a national holiday.
Thank God.
Thank goodness.
I'm sure Guinness or Jameson had something to
Father
do with
O'Malley
that.
came back to his senses.
This one is multiple choice. In 1759, Arthur Guinness signed a 9,000-year lease on St. James Gate Brewery in Dublin. Approximately how many pints of Guinness will be consumed worldwide on St. Patrick's Day? 7 million, 13 million, or 20 million?
I'm gonna say 20 million.
13 million.
Oh.
Number 3. True or false?
Janelle, I'm sorry about Brigitte.
There is a variety of lettuce named Little Leprechaun.
True.
True, of course it's true.
Yes.
Who doesn't want Little
I would
Leprechaun?
love that.
Why there is no
too.
potatoes that are red on the green on the outside? What happened to that?
Number 4. Which famous big screen actor said, "I'm Irish, so I'm used to odd stews. I can take it. Just throw a lot of onions, carrots in there, and I'll call it dinner"? Was it Liam Neeson, Colin Farrell, or Pierce Bronson?
I want to say Liam Neeson.
Absolutely correct. As a fun fact, in his early years, he actually worked as a forklift operator for Guinness.
Oh.
Nice tie-in.
He looks like he
And-
did.
Finally, multiple choice. What is the heaviest green cabbage ever grown? Was it 44 pounds, 97 pounds, or 138 pounds?
Pretty heavy, right? Oh, I'll
Go.
take the 138.
Exactly correct. It was presented
3 out of 5.
at the Alaska State Fair
Three.
in August
3,
2012.
roll 3.
All right.
Tom, you got to beat 3.
You got to be 3. All right.
See how
And
much Becky
3.
likes you. If she did, she go easy on you. This is multiple choice.
Love when we
That's
start
not a
like
good
that.
start.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a tough one. The first St. Patrick's Day parade was held on March 17, 1601, in a Spanish colony in what is now St. Augustine, Florida. Which dish might be hard to find on a menu there today? Gator tail, Menorcan chowder, or spam masubi?
Spam masubi.
True.
Yeah. There we
Correct.
go.
There is this.
Were St. Patrick and St. Augustine dating?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a tradition that started in 1952 where British government leaders gave U.S. presidents shamrocks on St. Patrick's Day. Which green preserved food was introduced that same year?
What's the year?
Naturally green preserved food
Yeah,
was introduced where?
in the United States.
Oh,
And
Kimchi.
No,
52,
1952.
famous. We're
Kimchi,
gonna
we were in the
nail
Korean
it,
War.
narrow
Jello.
it down to a popular frozen product.
Oh, not Jello.
Key lime pie. Peas.
Frozen peas. Birdseye introduced frozen peas in 1952. Number 3. You know I love a rainbow of vegetables on my plate.
Yes, I do.
What popular Irish import would you use to represent the pot of gold to enhance a rainbow platter of vegetables? Becky's
Irish
going.
butter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kerrygold butter.
Yep.
It's the pot of gold. Or
Good job. Good job, Tom.
yeah. Or the Kerrygold cheeses could be our pot of gold. Good one. Well, cabbage and corned beef are considered to be traditional St. Patty's Day dish. It's actually not an authentic Irish meal. If the Irish themselves didn't create it, who did?
The Pilgrims.
goofball. Irish American immigrants. It was created to fit the budget of Irish Americans who could not afford their homeland's favorite pork and potatoes. And
It's
finally,
just funny to think that beef was cheaper.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
You're gonna have the finishing word to this limerick.
Okay.
At the Hot Stove Society, Tom and Terry were cooking up a storm quite merry. Corned beef and cabbage, a classic dish, with soda bread and Guinness to make a wish. May the luck of the Irish be with all who are merry.
Your turn.
May the luck of the what was the last rhyming word?
Tom and Terry.
Tom and Terry. So may the luck of the Irish,
Irish
be with all that are
who-
married.
Culinary.
Culinary.
Wow.
Thank you, Becky, for making it that I lose once again. If you want to be part of the show, you can join the community on YouTube Live at Tom Douglas & Co. or buy a ticket to join us here in the studio at Hot Stove, like all these nice folks did. Happy to have them here today. Let's see. The show is produced by Pamela Hinckley. Our technical director is Sean McFadden. Our editor at the studio is Sean Don't Call Me Del Torre. And remember, if you miss any episode of our show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app.
Happy St. Patty's Day and have a wonderful weekend.
See you.